I just had enough to get on, but I knew it was coming to an end. And when Huckabuck stole my car, man, that was it. That was enough, man. You know, cause now I'm calling using my favors, and dudes is like, man, you can't be here like that, Skip. We can't, man. I'm gonna stand here, get your car, get it up out of here. But that's all I could do for you. I can't do nothing else. I can't chastise this dude and have him bring your shit back. You don't belong here.
So from there, you springboard to the Mansfields? Is that how that worked?
Did I go straight to the Mansfields? Yeah, I did. And it went because one of my partners, he had got a spot over there. And it was a quiet block. And he was going to do the same thing. But once it got started, a couple of schoolyards came over there. Now the dude from the schoolyard is saying, well, just get your shit from me. Get it from me. But he got a dude out there who looking at me upside down, want to squab, no want to shoot me. So I'm like, man, I'm going to hurt this dude. You know, he was one of them, we was both little. We was both the same size, but he was, you know, looking me up and down like, because he was I don't know, he wasn't the one making money, but I was making money. So I'm looking at him like, you better chill. But we ended up getting into it. So then the Mansfields was like, man, we don't want the schoolyards over here. They didn't get along with schoolyards. So I was the next best thing, and I'm coming to them with weight. So they was like, wait, they was telling their little youngsters, hold on, man, Skip is cool, Skip is straight. So that's how I got that pass.
How long did you last in the Mansfields, and what was the conclusion?
That was 85 and 86, and I kept going to jail back and forth. So some dudes from IVC were like, come on, man, let's go out to Vegas. So I gathered my crew. I gathered 2-3 Mansfield, 2-3 Rollin 20s, a couple of Blackstones, you know, IVCs. Come on, go with me. We went to North Las Vegas and shit, made a killing till we all end up on the news.
What was I'm gonna tap on that. What was this is the mid to late 80s. What was the price difference from LA to Vegas back then? Was it a big gap, like going to Arkansas, or explain that?
No, it wasn't that big of a gap. We didn't go far enough. And then when I got to Vegas, man, the Rolling 60s was already there. Cat was out there already, and he had a crew, and I'm showing off on a motorcycle one day, hit the front brakes, flipped over in front of all the 60s. They laughed. You know what I mean? But the price difference, man, was like, it was just slightly higher. You know what I mean?
Just a faster flip?
Man, the first day there, man, I'm selling dub for dub, man. I made like $8,000 just sitting on the wall. Very first night.
You know, I don't know if this block was active back then, but when you hear Vegas and LA niggas, you always hear about Fremont.
Yeah, that's where we was.
Okay.
No, we wasn't on Fremont. We was in North Las Vegas. We was on Donna, Stats, McCarran, all those streets. That's where that's where the 60s was at too.
Was Fremont active back then?
Yeah, Fremont was active. Yeah.
So you mentioned you got on the news. What's the story behind that?
Well, what happened was we was out here in LA and talking about going back out there, and I left one of my dudes from Mansfield running everything, right? And he stopped answering his pager. He stopped calling. So when we got out there, I was like, man, something ain't right. This ain't cool. So I put everything on the scale to see how much he had. I started counting the money so I could determine how much he's gone with, because obviously he's in jail. So we get the call and say, yeah, he got a $500,000 bill. Like, damn. And I'm looking like, man, he ain't had nothing but an ounce and a half. You get $5,000 bill. How you got $500,000? Not knowing that's what the feds had put. So I'm like, man, let's get up out of here. This is something different. This is something special. And the feds came in, and I had all the money counted. Had the shit on the scale. So they kicked the door in. They ain't had to do no work. All of us right here in the same room, and the money and shit right there. And it was the biggest heist. This was 1986. That was the biggest drug bust at that time.
Well, they say if you're from LA and Vegas, no matter what level you're hustling on, they automatically give you drug trafficking just because you're coming from LA.
Yeah, they tried to give us 55 years, but this is in the beginning, remember. So the feds ended up dropping it. The state picked it up, and I took a deal for 5.
So you did 5 years in Nevada State Prison.
Well, I did 10 in jail, 19 in prison out there.
Explain the politics and the landscape of Nevada State Prison?
It's the same. They had the Crips and Bloods. They had the Northtown Crips. They had the West Side Pyrus. They had the Bloods. However, when I got into it with the Northtown Crips, which I really didn't get into it with them, they was just trying to bully me or whatever. The Pyrus was like, West Side Pyrus said, back up, man. Let him handle his business. I was like, is that right? Y'all don't ride with me? And they was like, man, do your thing. So me and the homie Black Mike from Blackstone and another dude from Kitchen Crip, can't even remember his name, but he was a cool dude. They stood with me like, come on, let's get with him.
So it turns into what, a California, LA?
Yeah, it was an LA thing, not really California, but it was an LA thing.
Wow, so the gangs were already flooding the Nevada State penitentiaries in the mid to late 80s already. They was already in there.
Yeah, they were there already.
But they're not structured like California, right?
They really are. They had the Herbert Gershons. They were the Kingsmen at first. And I just happened to be celly with one of their main dudes, and he was telling me how their push was to keep the Crips out. They wanted to keep their original, what they were, Kingsmen. But, so they were fighting the Crips and whatever, but they didn't fight the Bloods.
You're talking about the Gersons.
Yeah.
The Green Rag guys.
Right. But I heard that eventually got taken over.
Okay, so you paroled from Nevada State Prison when?
It was December of '87, but before I could parole, I had to go. I had a case in California, so the parole officer took me to Chino, and I was supposed to go to R&R in Chino, but Chino didn't want me because they didn't have the thing from the courts. They just got it from Nevada. So I went to West Valley and sat in that motherfucker for about 2 weeks until the judge gave me a continue on parole. Like they weren't gonna push it. So it was really like the beginning of 1988. I came on.
Wow, so 1988, we're back in the land, in the streets.
Back on the streets.
Unemployed, with the homies.
That don't matter.
What is Skipp doing, 1988?
Man, I'm on this pyramid scheme and I made about 15,000 or something. So life is good.
Really? You're one of the only people I've heard that came out of the winter.
My whole family was big on it. They did. I ain't with my mama out there, but my mama, her sisters, all them. Man, we did pretty good on that, man.
So that means you guys were on the top of the pyramid.
We're top of the pyramid, man. Life was good, but I still had this desire to, be the Whitey's Enterprise or Freeway Rick or something. I wanted to be that dude, so I kept going out of town. And in August of that year, I got caught up in 2008. I got caught up in Kansas City. But what blessed me is the dude who was telling in Kansas told on the people that he knew, and he didn't know me. So I wasn't in that initial. He wrote an affidavit, he made statements before we even got there.
Wait a minute, you just jumped 20 years, man. We're still in 1988.
That's what I'm talking about. What'd I say?
2008.
Oh, my bad. Yeah.
Okay.
1988.
Okay.
So 1988, the summer of 1988, I'm in Kansas City, and the dude wrote an affidavit. And now in the summer, I go out there to Kansas City with these other dudes, and everybody go to jail, including me. But the magistrate, the federal dude, let me go, not knowing I was on parole. Remember, I was on parole from Nevada and moved to California. So California, remember, Chino didn't take me in. So it's a lot of red tape. So I'm able to slide through like I'm not on parole, so with no violation or nothing. I just came on. But I was still doing my thing in '88, and the feds started taking money from me and shit like that. And I said, man, let me quit.
What you mean, the money wasn't landing?
No, I put the money in the jeans and just
walked through the airport.
Put it in the bag. And so, no, I knew if I walked through the airport, there was this one dude in Memphis that used to be on my bumper, right? I still had the Jerry curl and all that and the troop jacket. So,
that always amazed me. Back then, LA gang members that caught those early waves out of town didn't square it up. They still walked through the airport, cripped and flamed up.
Right.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah, I had on the cross colored. I thought I was, nice looking. No, I didn't. I wasn't sagging. None of that. I had on cross colored, the troop jacket. I'm thinking, I look nice, but yeah, I still look like L.A. So I put the bag. I sent it onto the plane instead of carrying it, so they wouldn't trip. And dude came and got me. He said, "Hey man, the dog smelled something in your bag." I said, "Impossible, man. I ain't had nothing in my bag." So when I went down there, the dog is laying right next to my bag like this. And I said, "Man, he don't smell nothing." I seen a dog run around in circles, shit on himself, bark real loud, try to jump. I said, "This dude don't smell nothing because he ain't tripping." And they said, "All right, well, shit, if you're not going to let us look in it, we'll get a warrant." I said, "Get a warrant then." By the time I hit the LAX, they got a warrant, kept my bag, took the 10 racks. I had to go talk to the federal government about where I got it. I'm telling my mother, man, say it was yours, say it was yours. And shit, they never gave it back.
Usually they just give niggas receipts and no one and tells you to prove it, and you just don't prove it.
Right.
Skip wanted his money.
Right, I wanted my money, man. I wanted my money, but then it made me think like, man, I'm wasting time and I'm about to fuck around and that by now everybody catching these 30 years and 25 years for these drug charges. So I'm like, man, I'm cool. And everybody was getting killed too, man. Everybody who was making major sums of money was getting kidnapped or,
Name, if you can, the ones that are dead, maybe. Some of the big high roller names that were popping when you initially started hustling.
Yeah.
Or some of these dudes that's already done interviews, so their names are already out there.
Oh yeah, well okay. Well, you guys already know Harry O. Harry O was Black Mike and Black Dave brothers. So Black Dave is dead, and I really didn't know Harry O, but Black Dave, had the slant nose Porsche. He was on the east side all the time. He was, I want to say he was a good dude because he looked out for dudes around there. But yeah, he's gone now. The twins, Cornell and Dornell. Well, Cornell was killed. They was doing pretty good back then. Shit, LaRue was gone. Lost his life and all this. Shit, he didn't have as much money as these dudes, but cat like Bobby as well. So he was a good dude to me, but I know he was doing a lot of stuff out in the community, but he didn't make it either. So a lot of people, that was just involved in that, and they not here now or whatever,
I'm gonna get back to that. I wanted to jump back to the Dorsey days real quick. Did anybody you went to school with or grown up with became professional athletes or professionals, period, in their lives that you can remember from Dorsey? Movie stars, athletes, things of that nature. Mm-hmm. Anybody famous come out of Dorsey?
There were a lot of people. Dude played for the Lakers, the Wilkes brother, Johnny Jamal Wilkes. That family was up there. Nobody I was really close to though. Nobody I could think of. T. Rogers played on Colors. You know what I mean, and a few other things, but he didn't go to Dorsey, but he was around. I really can't think of anybody in my age group who did anything like that.
Before you go too far, what can you tell us about Jimbo?
Jimbo was he was the life of the party, man. He would at any point Jimbo could influence the crowd one way or another. If we all at a party, a function or something, either Jimbo could say, "Come on, let's go, we all leaving," or Jimbo could say, "Man, fuck that," and we all tripping. So Jimbo was a major influence in the area. Jimbo was one of the ones who started gangbanging at 9 years old. So I always thought, a lot of people thought Jimbo was older than he was because he was off the porch before everybody else. But he spent a lot of time in camp, YA, and all that. So,
a lot of times you don't find out these dudes' real ages until you see it on the obituary.
Right. Because I'm a month older than Jimbo. I never knew it. He was my big homie from the time I met him. And I always thought, and everybody was saying, oh, every time I get somewhere, if I get to jail cell somewhere or whatever. You know, they like, oh, you from 20s? You know, Jimbo was here, this and that, and he's the main character in the story. If you tell a story about the Rollin 20s, he's the main character. Even though he didn't create it, he didn't start it, but he should be in every scene.
Well,
I always hear Jimbo, Crazy B, Santa Claus.
you beat me to it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say to outsiders, those are
Right.
the three names that ring bells.
So the name you guys are missing is Stoney. Stoney's just as important in that. But Santa Claus had the hand. Santa Claus was the major fighter. I ain't heard anyone, I've never heard anyone say, oh, I whoop Santa Claus. I never heard that. Santa Claus would fight 2 or 3 at a time, 1 at a time. Crazy B was really crazy. He used to jump out of his car, Dinker Park, and he talked really proper. He'd say, blood. Who wants to fight me, blood? You know what I mean? And man, them dudes would run. They had issues with it. You know, they wasn't. I mean, you know, a lot of them gonna say they did whatever. I don't want to go back and forth, but he was really a dude that and he drove a red Chevy. He would turn. So you got to figure north of Jefferson, off of Harvard and Hobart, north of that Superior Market or whatever. Those first 2 blocks, a lot of 30s lived there and grew up there. So when they would have parties back in the days, you know, everybody go to the party. Ain't nobody tripping, you know, see a blue rag or something or whatever. But they say, oh, Crazy B outside. Everybody who a blood, oh, you better go outside and join Crazy B because he about to trip on all these dudes. And then he gonna trip on you because why you didn't trip on him while you was in the party. You know what I mean? And Crazy B would come turn the parties out.
That's crazy because that you mentioned that little gray zone right there, because most people automatically assume the 20s push up to the Jefferson and then the 30s kick in after that, but the 30s had that little.
Yeah, on those few
On
blocks.
those few blocks.
On those few blocks.
I was on the stack cars. It's my make sure. We almost finished.
Is Crazy B responsible for establishing the Deuce 7 area?
No. So Crazy B lived on 27th and Dalton. So I don't know the address, but 2651 in the 90s was the headquarters for the 20s. Crazy B and them lived the house before that, which is big white house. That was his daddy house. So that was headquarters back in the 80s. But what had happened, everybody's hanging on 27th and Butler. So that is where it originated from. That's where Stoney, Crazy B, Santa Claus, Grits, her brother, you know, I could name a whole bunch of other people, but that's where they was at with it.
When did the 20s start sectioning off to the Deuce 7, Deuce 9, Deuce 5? When did that come into play?
So, you know what, I might be wrong, but I think Deuce 5 came before everything, the Deuce 5. I think those were probably hustlers back in the days because Deuce 5 was around when I was in Dorsey. They was around way before everything, but I think 27th Street was the foundation of what became the Rollin 20s. So Deuce 5 and Deuce 7 were supposed to be the only thing. That's it, that's all. But like I say, Crazy K, Monster, Tick, all them, they created Second Ave. My homeboy Dez, they call him Leprechaun. Dez, his brother is, damn, I'm picturing him, can't think his name, but they started 29th Street. So Dez and
You mentioned 29th Street. You might have to delete this, depending on how he responds to it. I knew a Belizean cat that was making money named Lester on 29th. You know this dude?
Belizean Lester had the body shop on Florence. Yeah, that's my guy.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from over there. Yeah.
Is he just a resident, or he's from it?
He, you know, the Belizean blood posse, they a little different. So he's part of the Belizean blood. So if he went to jail and said, I'm from Rollin 20s, a lot of Rollin 20s would be like, man, what? You know, but he did end up going to jail too. He went to prison or whatever. But yeah, he's from over there. But he wasn't ever like the fighter, come on, let's go to the mall, let's go trip on he wasn't that dude. He was always a money dude.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to get back onto Skipp, because I eventually want to get into the gang prevention. So I want to see your transition from street hustler and when you went the peace route. So we're in like 88, you're home, you do the pyramid scheme, Kansas City,
That sounds weird in this recipe.
Hey, look, I made money though.
Yeah.
Kansas City flopped. The feds was taking the money in the airport. Did you catch money laundering cases with that?
No, I
or
didn't catch that.
They just took it and let
They
you
just
go.
took it and that was it.
Okay, so the feds take your money. What is Skipp doing now?
So now I started driving tow trucks. So now I'm out running wrecks. And now I'm on the south side of town, Century and Broadway, and the Crips are saying, hey, Skipp, man, you cool. The only thing they said about you is that you's and then they start disrespecting me. So now I got to fight in this area too, just like going to school. It's all Crips out here. So one of the dudes who went to Inglewood High School, who didn't gangbang, he wanted me out. So he was telling everybody, yeah, skip the blood, skip the blood, skip the blood. So every time I'm out here driving a tow truck, running wrecks, I'm out here fighting the Crips. And I didn't know when I got out here that shit, they was already shooting at each other. And Crip or blood didn't matter. They was just tripping on who get to hang out on what corner. So when I came, I said, man, I don't know how to drive tow trucks. I do know how to gangbang. What y'all want to do? How y'all want to do?
The tow truck world was cliquish and
cliquish and dudes who don't bang shooting at dudes who do bang. Dudes who do bang getting out and rat packing dudes who don't bang. Yeah, it was wild
so
back then.
You was in competition with our boy Emerson.
No.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes, live on the corner house. Yeah, that's my partner.
Yeah.
So I went to school with CJ. You know, so we didn't have problems. He had other issues.
No, I'm saying competition as far as who can get to the wreck first.
Oh yeah, stuff like that. Yeah.
About.
But no, we good. Yeah.
So what's our tow truck run from what year to what year, and why does it conclude?
89 till I slowed down like 94. 94, 95, I allowed a couple of dudes from 30s to tell me we can get it cracking out in Washington. So I
Skipp, you love you some Crips, man.
Hey man, hey look, man, I'm gonna tell you something, man. I cried when that dude got killed. When Rick Rock from 30s got killed, I was a pallbearer, and everybody from 20s like, man, you gonna touch his casket? You gonna go there with them dudes? And I was
you felt comfortable going OT with some Crips to hustle?
I mean, man, yeah. I go anywhere with Rick Rock, man. I didn't like him when I first saw him. Trey was driving the tow truck, and I seen Trey on the corner, Jefferson and Crenshaw, and this dude had his shirt off with a 3 right here and an O right there. And I turned my head like, damn, Trey ain't cool no more. He bringing these dudes out here. So I didn't like him. But dude hit me up one day and just started talking. And I said, well, where you at? And I went and kicked it with him. Man, me and that dude became the best of friends. He taught me things that my own homies wouldn't teach me. No one in my neighborhood ever taught me how to do the whoop. You know, so every time I'm rocking something up, I'm losing. I'm losing a gram or two or, whatever.
You cooked me to the oil like the smokers.
Yeah, but a lot of it. But I was putting a lot of it like that. So I'm sitting here wondering why I'm losing, and he showed me how. So I go to his house. It's hot in the kitchen. I'm looking through his photo. I'm like, I was in jail with him. I know him. And he said, man, are you here to look through the photo album? Or are you here to learn this? Stay focused. So I went over there, and I learned how to whoop. And shit, man, I got a homeboy who told me, man, I'll charge you $500. You know what I mean? Like, man, but you my homeboy. You somebody who we done held pistols together. We done went on places together. You know what I mean? But this is a dude supposed to be my enemy, and he treated me with more love than dudes I've been knowing for years.
That's a common story that we hear. Enemies always showing more love than the home team. That's kind of strange, no?
Right. I did catch flack, from the Avenues. The Avenues knew I was cool with him going to the funeral and all that. But man, that was my guy, man. As a matter of fact, I started a bad habit because of him. We used to go out of town. He would drink Dr. Peppers. And I'm always drinking Sprite, something like that. And I'm like, what's that about? He said, man, DP, it's Dinker Park. Skip, drink a Dinker Park. So, my boy done died. I can't get Rick Rock, rest in peace, on my arm or nothing like that. So I just drink Dr. Pepper for my boy Rick, man.
So when did the hustling stop? And what did you do afterwards?
So I went back to towing. The hustling stopped at 96. Rick died like 95. I stopped the hustling, went back to driving the tow truck. Now I'm on the run for attempted murders. So I'm just staying in the tow truck all the time, trying to do the white collar hustling. But in 98, I went to jail and was facing 2 life sentences followed by 6 years. So I got a hung jury and I got acquittals. So when I got that acquittal and the hung jury, I said, that's it. I'm jumping in the tow truck, staying the fuck away from everybody. And
This is a LA County case?
LA County case.
Downtown LA?
Downtown LA. So what I did was I went ahead and jumped in the tow truck. And now in a conversation one night, my boy Michael Franklin say, hey, Mark Layler and Darnell just opened up 310 Motoring. So I'm like, well, shit, let me get the towing on it. So I got with them and started towing for 310 Motoring, and that just elevated my towing. I ain't had to run wrecks no more. I got a flatbed truck, and I'm towing for Brandy. I'm towing for Denzel, all these different celebrities, Baby and them.
So for the viewers and the outsiders that might not understand what 31 Motors is, explain that.
So 310 Motoring was just a guy named Mark. He was working for Beverly Hills Automotive. They do all the auto accessories. Put the rims on the car, put the music, the TVs. And they was backed up, so Mark had asked Brandy, the singer, like, hey, look, if I open my own shop, would you come and, utilize my service? He said, yeah. So he got one of them, Marcus Demby, one of them 6'8" dudes, took his truck, started his own company called 310 Motoring, and said his dream fed a lot of people, man, and I'm one of them.
Who was the main clientele for 31 Motors?
It was a lot of different clientele. The main one I would say was Baby, Cash Money. They probably spent the most money, but Master P was up there. Everybody was either buying the cars or using us for the music videos. We did all the music videos. I put together 7 Monte Carlos. You guys seen Training Day. That's not one car, that's 7 cars. I had to pick all the cars up, get the front end, cut off of one, the back end, cut off another, get them all painted, get them to the interior shop. With Bosco's did the moon roofs, just so they can have a scene where the bullets went in, the scene where they filming from the back, the scene where they were filming from the front. One of them got stolen in the jungles. Somebody came and took one of them. But
Where was 310 located?
We were right there at Hendry and Florence. It's right after La Cienega. It's a small street. If you didn't know we was there, wouldn't nobody know we was there.
It's kind of like the outskirts of the NHPs.
Right behind them. Or the Queen Streets rather too.
You mentioned Training Day. The production crew and moving company, did they pay the locals?
Oh, definitely. Definitely, the first thing they did, Anton Fuqua, he's really good at reaching out to the community. So he reached out to Bone, and they had what's his name, Terry Crews, and a couple of other actors that was gonna play the Bloods, and Bone made sure that didn't happen. That if they did, they're gonna be in the background. But you had Fat Rat, Lil Bop, Cass Capone, a whole bunch of other dudes, in that scene to make sure that. A good representation was the people from the jungles.
Oh, Lil Bop was on deck for Training Day.
Yeah, he's in there. On that Palmwood.
His name is highly respected in LA, period.
Right.
What's the story behind that?
Well, Lil Bop was always a soldier, he was always ready to fight. You could just be playing with him. Like one time I was in the blood module, and everybody looking down the hall like, oh, Bop coming. So he going to the last cell, which is the Blackstones cell. As soon as he got in there, they rushed him. Cass Capone had the youngsters rush him, and he beat about 3 or 4 of the young dudes. That's the type of dude he was. He beat them up, but like, yeah, I got love for y'all. You know what I mean? But he was always solid, ready to fight. That's why his name rings so many bells. He was he a good dude if it's time to be good, but if it's time to trip, he's not passing up a fade. He think the fade is gonna answer everything. Like you're not listening to me, so if I put hands on you, then we gonna see now as you gonna listen now.